They say you shouldn't whistle at night. Not in this town. Not outside. Not after dusk. Not if you value your luck or your life. It wasn't a warning whispered as a joke. It wasn't folklore passed around for fun. It was kind of unwritten law, the kind passed down in silence, enforced not by police, but by fear. The elders said whistling after dark invites misfortune. Or worse, invites something. They never said what, never gave it a name. Just looked at you with that distant, hollow stare. The kind that makes you feel like they've seen it, lived through it within abstract. One old man told me once that if you call something, just make sure it doesn't answer. Kids in town knew the rule, too. We didn't talk about it much. It was just something we didn't do. Until I did. Just a whistle, 3 soft notes, rising through the night like smoke. I laughed. Nothing happened. No lightning. No ghosts. Just silence. That first night, I thought I'd proven them wrong. But that was before I realized, silence doesn't mean safety. It means something's listening and looked forward to my calling. I live in a quiet little suburb on the edge of nowhere. Just the edge, a clutch of 27 houses where the street lamps stop and the crop fields begin. One grocery, one playground rusting at the hinges, and a bus that only bothers to come if someone's died. On summer nights the whole place smells of jasmine and engine oil, and by 9:30 every window is dark and the town became silent, as no one lived in this town. Here, everybody knows everybody or thinks they do, Mrs. So she can list every birthday on the block, yet still checks her doorframe for chalk marks before she let a visitor in. My parents once found a woven packet of salt and hair tied to our gate. The old women called it protection, the teenagers called it creepy decor, and no one claimed it. Most of my neighbors are old wrinkled like river stones, voices gone thin as reed flutes, but memories sharp enough to cut glass. What they trust has nothing to do with Wi-Fi or weather apps. It's the rules printed on the back of their minds the way recipes are written inside cupboard doors. The kind of old that still believes in taboos passed down like recipes. Never whistle outside once the sun is gone. That stuck with me, because it wasn't said with superstition. It was said with fear. The whistling taboo people said it quietly, eyes drifting to the road as though something might already be standing there, listening. Like something happened once, or more than once. I asked my neighbor, Mr. Gregg, about it once the summer I turned 16. He'd fought in 2 wars and claimed fear had left him long ago, but when I joked about midnight melodies, he gripped the fence rail hard enough to whiten his knuckles. He just looked at me, dead serious, and said that if you call something, be sure it doesn't answer. He wouldn't say another word, just spat into the dirt for luck, shuffled back inside, and latched 3 separate locks I'd never noticed before. That should have been warning enough. It wasn't. I was bored. The days were too quiet, the nights were too slow. A little drunk with arrogance, felt like I could overcome everything. Mocking people who still believed in ghosts and curses. That bulletproof feeling that makes you think you're smarter than generations of people just because you have Wi-Fi and sarcasm. So I did what bored, overconfident idiots do. I whistled. Right outside, in the middle of my front yard. Under a clear sky and a full moon. 3 notes. High, low, high, simple, mocking. I even gave a little theatrical bow to the empty street, nothing dramatic. A long wait and nothing happened. I whistled once more, yet still nothing happened. No thunder, no screams. No bleeding walls, no flickering lights, no banshee howls. No hellfire crackling through the pavement. Just the hum of street lamps and the distant bark of a dog. So I laughed. And I did it again the next night. And the next, still nothing. No punishment. No shadows chasing me down. Just more silence. Too much silence. I laughed out loud. Loud enough that if anything was lurking, it would have heard the arrogance in my voice. And because I'm nothing if not consistent in my stupidity, I did it again the next night. And the one after that, except, little things started happening. I'd wake up with dirt under my fingernails, fresh, damp, packed tight, like I'd been digging. There were faint scratches along my arms, some shallow, some not. The solace of my feet, always dirty, always stained green. Like I'd been walking barefoot through the park. Or crawling, I told myself I must have sleepwalked. That it was stress, or maybe mosquitoes. I didn't tell anyone. Why would I? I didn't even believe it myself, until the bruises started. Big, ugly patches along my ribs, my thighs, the back of my neck, like something had grabbed me. Or like I'd fallen, hard, onto something I couldn't remember. Then came the noise. Not loud, not all at once, just sounds. Wrong ones. Tapping at the windows when no one was there. Whispers curling at the edge of sleep. The distant trill of a whistle, not mine, somewhere outside my room, echoing that same three-note pattern I thought I'd invented. Sometimes it was far off, sometimes it was under the floor. A whistle, just like I did before. But I swear it wasn't mine, not from my own lung. But familiar. To familiar, the same three notes. Exactly just like I'd done, but slower, wet-sounding. Like breath struggling to shape the sound. It came from outside. At first, far off, near the woods or maybe the old canal. Then, closer, reaching somewhere across the street. Then directly outside my window. Always the same tune. Over and over, but wrong somehow. Like it was learning it from memory. Like it was trying to remember how to sound human. Mimicking that it was the real me who was whistling outside. At first, I thought it was a prank. Someone messing with me, pulling a joke out of fun at me. Or maybe one of the neighbors testing the same superstition I had. Since I'm the first one who initiated it. But every time I checked by the window, there was nothing, just darkness embraced outside. Yet, subtly, that lingering echo still clinging to the air, like it had been waiting for me to open the door. The third night I heard it, I stood outside with a flashlight for half an hour. I called out, I even whistled back. The moment I did, the sound stopped, not faded. Stopped, like something holding its breath. After that night, things started to shift. I'd wake up to footprints across the tile, muddy, wide-toed, too long to be mine. The front door was sometimes unlocked even though I remembered bolting it. One day, the fridge would be open in the morning, food torn into a mess or half-chewed and left rotting with bad smell. Once, I found something smelled rotten. It got stronger when I reached the bathroom sink. But nothing there, only dirty waters that I didn't recall. Not enough for panic, just enough to linger. Enough to suggest something had come inside. Or worse, something hungry. Then, I found myself changing. My reflection began to feel off, delayed, almost a split second behind my movements. Sometimes it wrapped around my reflection, as it tried to cover me whole. One morning, I woke up in the shed, cold, curled like a dog. Mouth dry, teeth aching like I'd been clenching for hours. My breath fogged in the cold air, and I noticed something else. Hands full with dirt and mark. Even I had a bite mark on my own shoulder. I tried telling myself I was sleepwalking. Perhaps boredom and stress, swing of moods and hormones. Anything but what I knew was happening, but then I started seeing things. Out of the corner of my eye, behind fences, between trees, crouched beneath cars at night. Something with the outline of a person, but bigger than ordinary somehow. The limbs moved wrong, almost like they bent both ways, and the fingers, too many of them. Or maybe they just never stopped at 5, and worse still, it looked like me. But warped, wild-eyed, mouth hanging open like it had forgotten what it was for, and sometimes, it whistled. Always 3 notes, and always, after dark. I tried to stop, no more whistling, no more late nights, but it was too late, the damage was done, because now, I couldn't remember the nights at all. I'd already called it, and it had already answered. Now, each sunset feels like someone pulling a velvet curtain across my mind, soft, silent, final. Conscious thought flickers once, then goes dark. One morning, I wake in places no sleeping body should end up. Balanced on the peak of the garage roof, nails cracked and bleeding. Other morning, I wedged inside my neighbor's crawlspace, mud packed in my hair like a nest. Once curled beneath the old neem tree, chewing a bone slick with something that wasn't marrow. I never taste blood in the morning, yet my teeth ache as if they'd spent the night cracking stones. The worst part, I proved it to myself. I bought motion cameras, 6 of them mangled across the yard, the hallway, my bedroom door. I let them roll for 3 straight nights. What I saw on playback still knots my gut. It begins with me standing at the foot of my bed, perfectly upright, eyes wide open but empty, as if someone else is looking through them. Then the body moves quick, skittering steps no human hips should allow, back arched like a spider learning ballet. It drops to all fours, scuttles down the hallway, limbs bending both ways at once, joints popping so loud the mic peaks. In the kitchen it eats hands buried, animal deep until the fridge light strobes off its reflective eyes, yellow, oval, to large. On another camera the thing tilts its head, noticing the lens. It crawls closer, closer to the center of the camera's spot. A distorted version of my own face fills the frame, jaw slack, cheeks trembling as if they can't remember where they belong. The mouth opens far too wide, the chin drags down to the collarbone, and from somewhere deep behind my tongue, a sound pushes out wet, piping, eager. Whistles. 3 notes. My notes. Every clip ends the same way. The thing I leans so near the lens that breath fogs the glass, eyes shining like a cat caught in high beams. And just before the file cuts to static, it grinned, with teeth, too wide for a normal person. I tried sharing the footage, sent it to every neighbor, my friends, everyone I could think of. The files were always corrupted, streaked with green static, the timestamps missing. One night's the discs are simply gone, replaced with hair and dirt. I stopped fighting last evening. Now I sit at my desk, sunset bleeding across the curtains, and feel the darkness gathering behind my eyes like storm water in a gutter. Somewhere outside, the answering whistle begins slow, patient, promising. I tasted iron on my tongue. I don't know where I'll wake up tomorrow. But I know what I'll be doing when the camera blinks on, crawling, hunting, smiling at anyone who might be watching, and whistling. Again, and again, and again like a record. I tried to stop. I blocked the windows with blankets, stuffed towels under the doors, hid every mirror. I set alarms that screamed every hour to keep me awake. I downloaded white noise apps so I wouldn't hear the breeze and feel that reflex to purse my lips. Every sunset, it's like something pulls the curtain closed inside my head. I look straight into the camera and whistle. 3 notes. The elders don't speak to me anymore. My neighbors don't even look at me. They just draw their curtains tight when I pass by, like they can smell what's different. Like they know I'm not just me anymore. The old women who used to sell sweets on Sundays now mutter prayers under their breath when they see me coming. Mr. Gregg won't even stand on his porch anymore. He just sat behind the screen door, rocking slowly, clutching on something like it still means something. Everyone pretends they don't hear the whistling at night. Even when it winds through the alleyways like smoke, echoing off roofs and rusted gutters. Even when it mimics voices, my voice, humming in that familiar 3-note pattern. I don't whistle anymore, but something does. And it sounds like it's getting better at it. Sharper, smoother, almost joyful. Every morning, I wake with my bedsheets kicked halfway across the room. My hands stained dark with something I can't identify, sometimes mud, sometimes ash, sometimes thicker. I check myself, for scratches, for blood, for bruises I didn't earn and aches I didn't feel before sunset. I once woke with fur between my teeth, not hairy fur, coarse, still warm. And in my mouth, something small and round I couldn't quite place. Until it cracked between my molars like a boiled egg. The neighbor's pet didn't come home that week. Neither did a raccoon someone had been feeding behind their garage. But their cries, sometimes I think I hear them. I've stopped setting alarms. Stopped checking the cameras. What's the point? Whatever I invited that night. It didn't knock. It didn't ask. It came inside. And it stayed. It made room, carved it out of me, shaped my body like clay, found a voice in my throat. Now it walks when I don't. It feeds when I'm asleep. And when I dream of bone and chase and wet leaves. The worst part, it feels normal now, like I was always meant to split in two. Day for the mask, night for the hunger, and if you ever happen to walk past my fence on a still night, you'll hear it. 3 notes, soft, playful, if you stop. If you listen too long, if you dare to answer, well, you'd better hope it doesn't answer back.